Good evening, everyone, and welcome to BT's Fly Tying Friday. Tonight, the 21st of February, Jack Gillis is going to be demonstrating a Carrie Stevens fly, the Green Drake. Weekly tip is history and a little bit of cutting and rolling pin. And the bonus tying tip, I'm going to have to delay that until another time. We'll talk about that later. But for now, we're the Beatties from Boise, Idaho, and we want to bring our good friend Jack Gillis in here um, so we can introduce him to you. Jack Gillis stands out as a passionate devotee of fly tying, boasting a lifelong membership with Fly Fishers International and its esteemed fly tying group. He presently chairs the Fly Tying Group Board of Governors, marking a significant leadership role within the organization. His involvement in the fly tying community extends further as a member of the Northwest Atlantic Salmon Fly Guild, Central Oregon Fly Tyers Guild, and the Roadkill Roundtable, and that happens to be a venerable group of fly tyers with origins dating back to 1972. He has tied at shows such as Northwest Fly Tyer Expo, Sowbug, Trout Fest, Oktoberfish, Fly Tying Group Rendezvous, and others. Jack's contribution to fly tying have been recognized with the FFI Gold Fly Tying Achievement Award. That's a very significant accomplishment. Jack, welcome to BT's Fly Tying Friday.
Thanks, Al. I'm glad to be here. And tonight I'm going to be tying Carrie Steven's Green Drake streamer. And, Carrie she was a bait fisherman for quite a few years, but then in July of 1924, she actually started tying streamers for the Rangeley region. And this is one of her flies we're going to do tonight. We tie with it's an old Partridge CS15 size 2/0 10XL. As you can see, it's a pretty good size streamer hook here. And then the thread, I'm using a recipe calls for 140 denier for the body. I actually used a body wrap thread for this one that I'm going to be tying tonight. And then I use a 14/0 in black and orange for the head. The tag is a flat silver tinsel. Body's going to be a 4-strand floss in orange. The rib, of course, is a silver flat tinsel again. The underbelly, she tied with cashmere goat hair. You can also substitute bucktail for that as well. The throat is schlappen white, or if you've got a rooster hackle that's long enough for a throat, that'll work as well. The underwing is 4 to 6 strands of peacock herl. The wing is going to be 2 black rooster hackles and 2 green, and the green will be slightly shorter than the black. And shoulders a gadwall flank. The cheek is jungle cotton. And then, of course, the head will be black with an orange in the middle, orange band. Now, I've already wrapped the body, so y'all didn't have to sit here and watch me do that. When I start out, take a rooster hackle and you want to measure it where it's about, I'd say 2 to 3 inches beyond the bend of the hook. And then you'll take a green one that's just slightly shorter. And you're going to mount those on top of one another so that it comes out looking something like this. Now, Carrie Stevens glued hers together, so I'm doing the same thing. I use a rubber cement, but glue of your choice does not matter really. And that's about what it'll look like once I get it all shaped and everything here in a minute. And then on top of that is a gadwall flank that would be glued on. And then from there would be, for the cheek, would be a jungle cock. And you want to make sure that when you do both sets of wings that the jungle cock, runs in line parallel to the racus. So when it's all done, it'll be glued together like that. I've gone ahead and glued them just to save time so we don't have to sit there and watch it glue. So once you've got the body in, I've now switched back to 140 denier thread. We will add the tag in. Goes on a far side, about the 5 o'clock position. I'm going to wrap it back to the point. And then we'll wrap backwards 5 wraps. And then back forward. And we'll tie that off there, and we'll leave the excess. I did probably about an 8-inch piece, so I'd have plenty to wrap the rib with here in a moment as well. Then at this point, we'll go ahead and take the thread back to the tie-in stop beginning. And at this point, we'll add the floss.
I had a question about the body, Jack. Are you
Okay.
just trying to create a larger diameter with the white thread? Maybe I missed that.
It's not necessarily a diameter, it's thicker, and that way you don't have to tie as much as you would like with a 16/0 thread or something. You could be here all day wrapping that body when it's a 10XL like that. You want to take off enough floss. Tie the floss in top at the beginning. And then we're going to wrap it rearwards. I have not found a faster way to do this yet, but it just takes time. And of course, you'll want to use a white underbody there. So when it gets wet, a black thread would show through the floss.
While you're wrapping there, Jack, John wants to know what kind of a bobbin you've got there. And I have to admit, I looked at that and been scratching my head too.
Lagerton came out with those about 3 years ago. And if you're going to be at the Albany show, you can get one there. They come with 2 tubes, so you can have the short tube or you can have a long tube for salmon tying. And they come in various colors. For the women, they've got a pink actually. And I believe there was 2 or 3 other colors that Ben has, as I recall. But Lagerton will be at the Albany show, or you can get them online from Lagerton or at the whoever fly shop that carries Lagerton materials.
And in the floss there, I've got another question regarding what kind of floss is that?
This is a Japanese silk floss. You can use 4-strand rayon if you want. It would probably tie a little faster because the 4 strand's a little thicker. I thought about doing this ahead of time, but then it wouldn't take long to put the wings on since they're already tied. And I messed up and I didn't cut enough floss here to be candid. So I'm going to abbreviate it going back forward Normally I would cover it front to back. And what I would do if I didn't cut enough, if I were tying this for regular time, is I'd just undo it and start again.
If you got an orange Sharpie, you take care of the backside.
That would help, wouldn't it, Jim? All right, and then we're going to wrap the rib forward at this time, you know, staying parallel and even spacing between them. No set number on this particular fly. It's just going to depend on what size hook you're using. 10X hooks are very hard to come by, if not impossible anymore. But you can probably still find some 9Xs out there. Okay, so once we have that in place, then we're going to do the underbelly. I'm using cashmere goat streamer hair, which is what my understanding is the original recipe called for. And you don't want to overdo it. I mean, it's not supposed to be a really thick, super underbody here. Then you can cut the excess off that you have. Again, I'd run it back just beyond the bend of the hook, maybe a couple inches, 2 or 3 inches. Then you need something long enough for your throat. If you've got slopping that's long enough, that'll work fine. Rooster hackle.
Bill wants to know if you can use yak hair or what are some other substitutes.
Any kind of hair, really. It's just you talking about for instead of the cashmere goat?
Correct.
Yeah, you could use bucktail or you could use synthetic if you wanted to. Then once you have your throat in, we're going to add 4 to 6 strands of peacock herl for the underwing. Kind of even that up. And it's going to go about to the bend of the hook. Snip off the tie-in butt ends here. And we'll tie those in. And then at this point, we're going to tie in the wing. You want to watch how you tie it in. You don't want to tie it in actually on top. You're going to tie it in maybe around like the 1 or 2 o'clock position and the 10 or 11 on the other side to match it, because you want it to go down along the body or the hook, shank of the hook. Make sure you have them even on both sides. And if you don't like the way they're setting on there, take them off and start again. Okay, at this point, we'll switch over to black thread. Start building the head up. And we'll do a whip finish on that, starting at the back and going forward with side-by-side wraps. And then we'll take an orange thread Come in close to the center here. You'll want to try to keep these equal distance, so it's a third, and a third. And then once you're okay with that, we'll just do a quick little whip finish there, front to back. Back to front, however you want to say it. Clean up there.
That orange band, that was Carrie Steven's signature.
It was. And there's two different worlds of opinion out there, as with anything else. Some people think it's sacrosanct. You should never do it. It belonged to Carrie Stevens and only Carrie Stevens. Other people say, if you're going to tie the fly like she tied it, then you would use it.
That is a good looking fly, Jack. Thank you. That is wonderful.
And fast. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't waste any time, does he?
No,
It doesn't take long. I mean, once you learn how to pick the right hackle feathers and, you get them all glued together and start
Sure.
same time, get them all done ahead of time. It's a quick tie.
you lay them flat on your tying bench to glue them. Is that what you do, or do you put them on your knee?
I do it on my bench, and then I just use rubber cement.
Yeah.
I've found for me it's thin enough, and of course when it thickens up, you can just throw it in the microwave and thin it right back out. And it only takes a very small drop of it.
Yeah.
That way it doesn't interfere with the feathers.
Jack, you just glue the tips of the feather?
Yeah, right at the butt end here, just put a very small drop of glue and spread it out, and then make sure the rakuses are matching each other and stay in line on all four feathers.
Yeah, the solvent for rubber cement is heptane, but be very careful. It's extremely flammable.
Any questions for Jack?
Have you ever tried putting the floss on using the rotary function of your vise? I'm just curious.
No, I've always just tied it in the way I do. And I do two wraps. I go from the eye to the bend and back. If you look at a lot of the recipes, they'll have you tie it in at the back with the tinsel and wrap it forward one time. I think it gives you a much smoother body if you do it front to back and then back forward.
Jack, somehow I missed what you had put on it for the white underbody under the
I
floss.
used cashmere goat streamer hair.
Not the when you wrapped the body.
I think she's talking about the white thread.
Is that just white thread?
Yeah, it's a real heavy white thread. They call it under wrap or body wrap, something like that.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's just it's probably like a 210 denier.
Okay.
Any other
on that
questions,
size
Jack?
of the hook, it just ties faster.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Jack?
And it creates a fairly smooth body, underbody.
It sure did. It looked like it was really smooth the way you'd put it in that way.
Yeah, our friend Dutch Bachman turned me onto that.
Well, I have to admit, I've never heard of this stuff before, so I'll be looking for it online.
Well, it's actually called underbody.
Underbody.
And
Underbody.
probably worked with it before. It was nothing more than a 4-ply floss.
Oh,
But it's marketed now by, I think, Uni. And it's called underbody.
okay. Well, I had a lot of white 4-strand floss around here over the years, so maybe I did.
That's what it is.
Okay.
And UTC has white spools, both of the 70, 140, and 280.
Oh, is anything you'd like to say about the tying group?
Yeah, there's a couple of projects we have going on right now, and I think Dutch has probably talked about the fly tying instructor program before. We will be starting back when Dutch gets back from Trout Fest. We're going to meet and set up the times to start the classes ahead of the one we're going to do at Fly Fest in Grand Rapids this year in September. In addition to that, we are doing a fly tying rendezvous book. It features flies from all of the 30 fly tyers that were at the 2024 rendezvous. It also includes past masters that have contributed to the book. In fact, I understand today that Dave Whitlock fly will be added to the book as well. Emily has kindly donated some to us. Dutch Bachman will be in there. A lot of the other music award winners like Eric Austin, the Beattys, will all be in there. Fred Haney, who's a very good natural fly tyer. Right now, we're setting it somewhere around 300 pages in the book. It's going to be a coffee table quality book, ultra premium color photos. Eric shot all the photos in full HD. So it's quite a book. We anticipate having it available for sale come September at Fly Fest, and then it'll be in the store after that as well.
Thanks, Jack.
Yes, I've had a chance to preview or review, if you want to call it, all the pages that Eric has worked on. And folks, I'm here to tell you it's going to be stunning. Not great, stunning.
We've got people already saying they want to buy 5 and 10 copies of it.
Yeah, it's going to be a classic, so you don't want to let this one slide by. Yep, it's that time again now. It's time to go to the tip of the week. We're going to talk about history, cutting, rolling pins, and a tying and fishing bonus is going to have to wait for another day. I'm just enough under the weather. I'm not doing well enough tonight to do a presentation. So what we will do, though, is go into first the part about cutting. Now, our new and becoming a very fast friend from Australia, Adrian Diamond, is constantly coming up with things, and this is something that he sent us this week off of eBay. Now, we don't have these, and we're not even suggesting that you get them, but let's take a look at what we got here. These are different leather cutters, and in fact, I do have some of these leather cutters because I also work leather. And just as an example, let's take a look here. Right in here, these shapes right here make it great fold-over extended bodies if done out of foam. Right up here, these teardrop shapes would be great wing cases on stoneflies, or flip them over and make them out of foam and make the head on a bass bug, or put them on the hook and you've got a built-in wiggler scoop if you're going to do that kind of a in-motion streamer. And all of these are over here. These are all available on Amazon. I put the links in that Adrian sent. I put them in the chat. If you want them, great. If you think that there's anything there of value to you, then use it. Now, why would I talk about... Well, Adrian says that he uses this by laying these down with the dull side against the table, the sharp points or the sharp edge pointing up. Then he puts the foam or whatever on top and runs a rolling pin or large wooden dowel over. All I can tell you is good. I hope you never injure yourself. But now that I'm in my 80s, that would be like trying to kill myself. So I think I probably would do it flipped over and maybe use my mallet from my leather working tools to pound it against a hard surface. But anyway, if you're interested in that kind of a thing, then go for it. But for now, I want to move into the other part of tonight's tip. Now, this is a slide that I did, a recent program that I did on a history channel that Eric Austin and I do. And it is a bobbin rest. And let me pull up the right here is this bobbin rest right there coming out here. And then we have, you can see in red, we've got the thing called the K63 bobbin. Well, this is from a 1941 Herter's book. And it was in the Herter's catalog from back then, I assume. Anyway, what happened is a friend of ours from the Netherlands, Jay Lee, sent me an email message saying, "What is this darn thing? I've got it, and I don't know what it is." Well, what he was talking about is that arm with the scoop on it to hold the K63 bobbin. And so what is the K63 bobbin? Well, as it turns out, I happen to have one here. And in fact, I laid it out with the instructions. The bobbin's right here. This is the actual instructions that came with it. And let's see, it says manufactured since 1893. So I would assume, though, it has something to do with Herter's Incorporated since 1893. I don't think this was done until about the late 30s, early 40s. But anyway, it is an adjustable bobbin, even though it doesn't look like one. Let's take a look at it over at the vise. And as you can see, it's got a tube on the end for the thread. I also put a washer on there to keep it from coming undone. I'll take that off right now. We don't need it, but I'll need it later. This right here, this screw adjusts the tension on the bobbin of spool of thread that's inside. And you can see that there is a spring tension device here that when I tighten the nut on this end, it applies more tension. Well, the way you wrap this thing is you just hold it right here. And the pressure of your thumb allows it to feed or not feed. And what I found is I can hold that and wrap pretty well with it. And if I want to allow it to feed a little bit instead of keeping it from moving, which I'm pinching down really hard right now, you'll notice right back there that device right there. Well, all I have to do is kind of rock my finger back like that and then back forward. And that's how I adjust the flow of the thread on this, but I need to keep it tight enough so that it will hang as it needs to when you need it to do that. You don't want it to just go straight to the floor. Anyway, that's it for the two devices. However, let's go back over here for just a second. I got to show you something. It just blew me away. It just tells you what it was like back in the 40s. Down here, Gretchen, could you hit the number 1 on there, the zoom part of the camera? There we go. Let me just slip right there. I want you to notice, I'll grab my pointer, and right here it says spool waxing of thread. And what this whole paragraph goes through here is how to heat the wax in the pot, and you throw your spool of thread in there to get it waxed, and then you take it out. And it says right here at the bottom, I thought it was an interesting comment. It says the hot wax is kind of a problem, and it talks about being careful not to burn yourself. And then it says it's a good idea to wax a year's supply of thread at one time. I would assume so you don't have to keep doing it. But I thought that was an interesting thing, is that they had waxing instructions with the instructions that came with the Herter's Model K63 bobbin, the adjustable bobbin. But anyway.
Yeah, Al, how do you change the spool in that bobbin?
You change it by taking this nut right here off, and the whole mechanism slides out the back. And then you put a new spool on this device and slide it back in and tighten it up. And what's a real pain in the neck is feeding a threader down through this loop. So it recommends in the instructions over there at the materials area, in those instructions, it recommends pulling out about 12 inches, slipping it part way in and sucking it through with your teeth, with your mouth. That's something they did back in the 40s. You probably would never see that today. But anyhow.
Oh, I have one. I have one.
Oh, excellent,
I've
Sherry.
had it for years. I got it from my estate sale, and I keep it laying around because I just kind of wanted to know how to use it. I'm thrilled to now know.
Now you know. Now here's the one thing I don't know, and I haven't done that. I've got the original wooden spool in it that I bought it with. It was still almost a full spool of thread. So I haven't done anything. What I don't know is if today's plastic spools are the exact same size as the old wooden spools, or whether the plastic will fit inside. And I haven't tried that. I'll have to do that one of these days. I just haven't got around to it.
I think mine's plastic.
Well, then that would kind of explain
my
this.
sewing days,
Yeah.
there were some smaller wooden, but most of the ones, the threads that I have left over from my mom's sewing and my grandma's sewing are about the same size as the plastic.
Yeah, well, we can always hope. That's it for tonight, folks. Thanks so much for this part of the program. Now let's go to the part of the program where all of you share with us. And there you go. There is the fly that you did, Jack's fly. Oh, you got the nice long wing and everything. Oh, wow, beautiful.
Yeah, that was a challenge.
It got to where it just went clear off the page, huh?
Yep, there.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to know when Evelyn's going to publish those.
There, she don't know it, but that's in progress, John.
Okay, this one is Chase made in Boston, and it's when you take the screw out, right there, there's a spring in there that spring loads the thread. You can see the spring right there.
Yep,
Anyway,
sure do.
This one is from the early 1900s. I'm not sure what era, but anyway, it's.
Surprises me, all these bobbins were available and my dad never used one.
Yeah, I didn't use one for a long, long time either. Anyway, in fact, I want to share one as well with all of you. Let me spotlight myself. And this is a bobbin that I got from a gentleman by the name of Steve Jensen, a long-time person.
Go over to the materials, or the vise. Let's go over to the vise.
All right, sure. All right, there it is. That's the Steve Jensen model. Steve hand carved those himself. Unfortunately, Steve passed away about 4 or 5 years ago, but that's just a gorgeous job that Steve did as part of the fundraisers for the Federation of Fly Fishers and then subsequently Fly Fishers International.
Yeah, I was able to get one of Steve's also.
Oh, wow.
And someplace I've got several of those ones that you showed, the Herters, but then I also got this one. And you control the thread here with this it's on a wooden spool.
Uh-huh.
And then there's this one, which is plastic, or else it's formica. I'm not sure which exactly, but it uses in the middle here, a sewing machine spool to put your thread on.
Oh, a bobbin,
Right.
a bobbin.
Yeah,
How
bobbin.
interesting.
Yeah.
And
How
then
interesting.
this one, somebody hand built. It's got a tube, and then they've got the thing to.
Jesus.
And
Wow.
then this one is the thread comes out here, and there's a deal here, and inside there you can't really see it, but inside there's another one of those little bobbin holders.
Sewing machine bobbin.
Yeah. But when I was up in Washington once, there was a lady that had a whole sack full of about 15 or 20 of those bobbins that you were showing. And she was giving them away because she was going out of business. And I think I got about 8 of them someplace. Now I got to figure out where in the heck I put them. They're very awkward, but boy, they are heavy.
Jim, I'll tell you something, they're right behind you.
Probably.
Oh, that's funny.
Right. Hey, Jay Lee in the Netherlands, did we answer your question about historical bobbins? Send me an email. I'll be looking forward to it. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, we'll see ya.